I didn't ask, they should have told me. At first I laughed, but now it's sinking in fast. Whatever they told me. Well, baby, I don't wanna take advice from fools. I'll just figure everything is cool till I hear it from you. Feel free to sing the backup lyrics as much as you like. Hello and welcome to Julia Pop. As you see, I have a chair next to me.
Thank you.
But hey, there he is.
I made it in time
The
for
world's
the intro.
silliest goose has made it
Yes.
just in the nick of time. So, welcome to Julia Pop. We are beginning our next episode, which is on Empire Records and record stores in general. We'll have a few other episodes that also have to do with record stores because I have many stories to tell of my 8 years in record store business, as well as my 4 years in Hot Topic, which did serve selling quite a few records while I was there.
I
Those
actually
days are
worked at the
different.
Warehouse Records for a little bit. too.
CD Warehouse?
No,
Was it
Warehouse.
Where?
Yeah.
Warehouse Records.
Where-
Yes. Yeah.
Warehouse
So
Records.
we always knew where to go get our CDs, etc. So
remember
because
every
there were a
name
lot of those
before.
names, and we'll go through some of those as well. So, but the big focus on this one, and we will do a future one where we focus on High Fidelity. That has its own set of record store situations as well as some romantic connotations, and that'll be for a different time. But this one that we're doing is for Empire Records. One of my all-time favorite films. It was a cult film. We'll talk about more of the details as far as that's concerned as well. Hopefully my system is doing what it needs to do. I'm a little bit concerned. I don't have my comments up yet, but once they come up, hopefully we will be in good shape, and hopefully you can hear what we're doing. So I know.
You see me looking like, oh, this is gonna help me. Just looking.
Is
here.
did that improve everything? Nice hat, man. Where'd you get that? So yeah, it's really cool.
From my wizard?
It's very sparkly. Yeah, that's very nice. So, like I said, hopefully people can see and hear what's going on. Hopefully, very soon I will be getting, I'll be seeing a comments frame come up. So fingers crossed.
Like it says starting still.
Exactly, and that's why I'm a little bit concerned because what tends to happen. So let's just give you a little rundown of the struggles I go through because I'm a simpleton when it comes to this kind of thing. So what happens is I've noticed the first time that I did my intro video, it did 3, 2, 1. But there was about a minute and change of silence because I was waiting for something on the screen to change. And so with that being a concern, that's why I start to sing songs in that minute lead up because that gives me time to shut down any other windows that I forgot to shut down that might be causing lag. I know I'm dealing with a lot of lag. We've been looking like max headroom for a while now, and I'd love to come up with boosts and things like that. Yeah, see, it's locking.
Cool.
And so so that's where I'm a little bit concerned as far as
Yeah,
making
that's
sure.
it.
No, and it's been a good bit of a concern, and so I'm going to hopefully try hoping that things are going to keep moving in the right direction. I don't know if I'm going to need to resort to my phone to see, if there's anything else going on. All right, so it does look my phone does seem to be trying to tell me that we are in live stream mode. So I don't know how it's going or how long it will last. And like I said, I have one person watching, so I at least have that. So like I said, if
That was
comments,
hilarious.
well, and that's the thing
Let's
is
see
like if
ourselves
comments,
back.
I
Oh my
know,
God.
and that's the problem is that if comments come up, I'm sorry. Right now, my computer is just deciding to be absolutely awful. I would need to come up with ways to boost. I've got it plugged directly into Ethernet, which we thought would help as well. Of course, I do have an in-house IT guy who's really good at stuff too. So with that in mind, and with also in mind the fact that this will play
We're live,
afterwards.
right?
Yeah, yes, we're live
Right.
right now. When we first do this, it's live.
Because
But
I've been giving all my best stuff.
but I
already.
also leave it up for the 30 days that a Facebook Live remains up, and then I do reposts, and so this whole entire thing will be savable, repostable, all of the above. So those of you that are watching, the couple of you that are watching here live, welcome. like I said, I'm hoping that my commentary will eventually come up sooner or later. But of course, my machine is deciding to be rather difficult. So something that is not that wasn't too terribly difficult though was finding my one FYE shirt that I still have left. So as you can see, let's see, and what does this say? Everything. Oh, yep, it does say for your entertainment at the bottom. Music, movies, games, and more, I'm guessing is what that is. And then you'll also see that I have a Catch It Live logo. And so what this is, we at FYE for quite a few years, we would go to live events and we would sell CDs on behalf of the record companies whose CDs we also sold at the store. But then we would also be able to help out with the meet and greets, the signing booths. And so what they would do is they would come to us, buy the CD, go to the famous person, have them sign the CD. Sometimes they do photos, all kinds of stuff. And so we were part of that in that we were selling the CDs. And so we would help with making sure, that, and it was simple, bottled waters, all those kind of things. So basically what Rex Manning, happy Rex Manning Day Eve. And so Rex Manning, when he went into the record store, it was similar.
Rex Manning Day.
I know. Aren't you excited about that? Yeah, I am too. So
Rex Hedlund is very excited about that.
Exactly. And so so that was kind of a big thing what we did. And so as you can see, I've got, and you might be able to see, I do have some autographs. I did have Zakk Wylde and Black Label Society sign this. And so of course right up here on the shoulder I have Zakk Wylde. And so if we have time, we'll try to get to that story. Crystal is sending me messages because she's my best friend and she's awesome. She says, try looking at your live stream on your phone. I can't see comments on my computer, but I can on my phone. So, So Crystal, if you have any comments, I would guess we may just need to do them via phone until the wheel stops spinning on my end of things. I have no idea if it's going to go very well or not, but in 15 shows, I haven't had it go quite like this.
Did you see me start to lean in again, thinking my look was going to help?
I don't know. Is that a Forrest?
Is it
a Forrest Gump thing?
Yeah.
Whenever you're watching TV. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and jump right into it. I hope this comment thread will pop up eventually. Fingers crossed. I'm not sure what the holdup is. Let's see. Empire Records. Well, hang on. Let me make sure I've got everything shut down. So I don't know why it is being so difficult. Hang on. I'm going to take a minute and see if there's some troubleshooting that I can do here.
I'm going to sit here and stare at it.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate you, doing that. All right. So, my friends, we'll see. I might jump out and try to jump back in again and hope for the best. So fingers crossed we're going to see if that helps at all. So,
ending live. 3, 2, 1.
And stay with us, though. I will join back out.
Yep.
So. 1, fingers crossed. I started out singing the last time, and for some reason, it's not wanting to do it yet again. I just want this to work.
Hey, what are these?
It's nothing. Yeah. Aha. All right. A little more positive. Everybody crush your little fingers because the little red live just went up on my screen. And it's looking the way it's supposed to. I think I have a comment section. So, Crystal, if you caught the drift, if we manage to make it happen, I have currently 0 live viewers, but we're trying again. So hopefully it will pick back up. Hopefully those of you that intended to make it are going to make it in. And I do have 2 live viewers. So thank you. So it's something. It is something. So there we go. There's my cat, FYE Forever. So one of my fellow FYE workers. So welcome, Crystal. Another of my FYE coworkers can see us as well. So hopefully you're able to hear us, and hopefully we're getting through okay, and back at it. All right. So with no further ado, after 10 minutes of the insanity that may have ensued, on we go. So, a little start over, but we are going to start over and jump right in. So, welcome to Julia Pop, finally, we are talking about Empire Records and the record stores that have inspired us that we loved over the years. And so I do have a peanut gallery person. Welcome to Evan. Apparently he's the world's silliest goose. I think that some of my friends might have other things to say about that. But yes, Crystal also has the Catch It Live shirt. She went to many events just like I did. She has many signatures all across her. I think you have signatures on your shirt. I don't know. She's been able to pick up a lot of really great autographs as well from all of the different events that when we worked at FYE, we would do these events. Like I mentioned previous, we would be invited by the record companies to sell CDs. Then the kids buying the CDs would line up and get them autographed by the famous person. So we got to be part and party of that. That was a lot of fun. We did things like Lollapalooza, Ozfest, random shows that would happen in Springfield, Kansas City area. Very similar to how Rex Manning came into the record store. So Kat said that was the most expensive job I ever had. Yes, so we did get discounts, but boy, oh boy, every time something would come in, we would want to shop it. And yeah, we spent a lot of money as well as, making a little on our way. So without any further ado, I do want to jump into Empire Records, the movie, because the biggest thing is that it inspired a lot of people. It was the romanticism of the record store. Yes, and it does say Autograph Tent Crew on the back. Hang on, let's see if I can turn around. Does it say that?
I see it, and yes, I think they can.
Okay. All right.
Autograph Tent Crew.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, yep. So, so these were the shirts that we would wear so people that know we work here. So, and so we'll talk a little bit not only about the cast as well as a little bit of the plot. I'm going to give you a little close notes of the plot as well. Some of the iconic lines, a million different songs that were on the soundtrack. Not only the soundtrack proper, but also additional songs that were in the movie. And so, like I said, this was a romanticization of working at a record store, but also the accuracies. And I'll tell you why the accuracies were the way they were. So Crystal agrees with me, of course. So the details on the movie itself. It came out in 1995. It was filmed in late 94. So it came out in 1995 through Warner Brothers. The director was Alan Moyle. The thing that he was best known previous to this was Pump Up the Volume. So a very good teen kind of flick. Very powerful. And it had some darkness to it, too. Samantha Mathis, I think, Christian Slater. Yeah, that is correct. And so the writer of the script is Carol Heikkinen, and she worked at Tower Records. She worked at Tower Records in Arizona when she was a teenager, and then when she moved off to LA, I believe she was in college, she also worked at the Tower Records, the famous one, like their Sunset Boulevard that doesn't exist anymore, R.I.P.
I went there,
right?
Yeah, quite a few times,
So Crystal said, if only it was really like the movie. Yeah, and so we will talk about the similarities, the things that we now, because I didn't start work at the record store until 1999, and this came out in 95. So the wish had always been there. Like from the time I was very small and I went to my first record store, I'm like, wow, I'd love to work there. And then of course when I started applying at the mall, I applied at both record stores, but then got a job at Pier 1 instead. Not the worst thing in the world, but still. I wanted the record store job, right? And
Pier 1 was kind of elite.
And once I finally got it, it was pretty cool. So we will talk about the similarities and things where it does kind of go off of that. So Kat says, my husband and I both just admitted we've never seen it, so now we have a date night picked out. Yes, perfect. So that's kind of the fun thing.
Tomorrow night, too.
But seeing it after you've been in the record store world is a huge revelation. When you go back and watch it again, you're like, yep, oh no, that never happened. But that totally did. And so you will find those comparisons and so a lot of really fun stuff with that. So, the writer's goal, she wanted to make a story that happened in the course of one day, very similar to a movie like Car Wash, that when it came out in the 70s, it just covered a single day. But it was a really great story to be told. And then one of my other favorites that we will also do an episode on is Dazed and Confused. And Dazed and Confused also takes place across the course of one single day. And so, and it's a slice of, well, that's true. And it is a slice of life. And that's definitely what we're going for. And so the thing is like, the way they move the plot along is a little bit different. There's a lot of different little subplots, a lot of different little things, but you want to take it in as a day in the life, because apparently a lot of movie critics panned it. So like on the Rotten Tomatoes, things like that, it only has a 35% from critics, but
Yeah,
it
I
has
remember.
but it has an 83% popcorn rating. So people that love it really love it, and it has since then become a cult
It
classic.
had that sort of like fledgling thing with all the other movies like
Yes,
it. It was
yes.
like,
And the thing
oh,
is,
and
is
here's a tag
this
along,
was
but
a time period
it
when
was not a tag
a
along.
lot of the teen films of that time period were just coming out in clusters.
Hmm.
And so what had happened was they did this movie on a $10 million budget. It was going to be the next big teen flick. It was going to be a very big deal. Well, the cut that went to the company, Regency Pictures, did not meet. They didn't like it. They thought it should move differently. Thought it should have a different rhythm. So instead, and the director, like, they were at an impasse with this. Yep. And Inger, welcome to you first of all. And she said critics never like the good movies. I'm with you. I think that is totally right. And Crystal's calling Kat out for blasphemy, but I won't judge. I will. I promise. I won't judge. Just feel free to get the time to watch that movie. You will not be sorry. So, with the $10 million budget, they were supposed to open for on thousands of screens nationwide. In the end, Warner and Regency Pictures buried the picture basically. So it only showed up in like 87
Hmm.
screens, only stayed out for 2-3 weeks, and then started to go onto home video after that. So they essentially, after all of that, buried the movie because they couldn't agree on how to cut the movie to make it what the company wanted when the director stood his ground. And so in the end, it was sad, it was a bummer. And this was like up and coming actors: Rory Cochrane, Liv Tyler, Renee Zellweger. Like, these are people that have made it onto awards, like our award winning actors. Anthony LaPaglia as well, Debbie Mazar. So all of these really talented actors and actresses that got a foot in the door from this movie, got that extra success. Crystal. So Crystal is not shaming Kat. All right, very good. She's shaming the critics, and I'm with you there. Yes, critics, blasphemy. How dare you rip on one of our favorite movies? So yes, so thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification. I'm glad that Kat is not in anybody's doghouse for not having
Issue
seen the movie.
resolved.
Yes,
Yes.
I love it when it all comes together. So with a $10 million budget, it only made $303,000 at the box office. So it is considered a box office bomb, unfortunately. But over the years, fairly shortly after,
I'd
it
be
started
considered
playing
a
a
box
ton
office
on
bomb.
TBS, TNT, HBO. It played on all of these channels, and then of course you could rent it or own it on DVD. And so many of us did exactly that. And so we
I
own
did
it.
too. I'm
Yeah.
sure I did.
So and from there it took off. And so all of us that finally saw the movie loved it. Crystal said two of those actors went to CSI Miami for some episodes. Yep. So again, very talented, up for Oscars, up for Emmys, a beautiful thing, and yet it went buried, sadly. The production company only had it in maybe like 4 cities. It never actually had a premiere. So, like, they didn't walk down the red carpet, any of those things. They didn't have any ads to support it. And like I said, the critics were bad. It only was on 87 screens for 2 weeks. And after that, it went to, at the time, direct to VHS because DVDs were about a year away from happening. But of course, once they did, we were able to get it. The original runtime of the movie, even once the director agreed to cut it down, was 90 minutes. The remix that we have is 107 minutes. A lot of people say, and a lot of how they put this movie together was improv. They spent a lot of time with the actors and their characters improving, and they were able to take certain scenes and really move the story along. So they probably had about a 2-hour movie, even above the 107 minutes. And so that's been a big
Is it really?
conspiracy
It's
theory.
107 minutes.
Yeah, it's the remix version is 107 minutes. So what's
Wow.
that? It's 17 minutes above. 17 minutes more was added.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So an hour and a half, just over an hour and a half, and
I'm
then it
walking
went
away
to an
from
hour.
that math right
Yeah,
now.
an hour. It goes from an hour and a half to an hour and 45 ish.
All right.
Yeah. So, so the cast, which I've mentioned already, we've got Anthony LaPaglia as Joe. Interestingly enough, he's Australian, but he did a really good like Jersey accent. I thought he did a great job. Maxwell Caulfield as our very
I
own
would
Rex
not have
Manning.
known he was
Yeah,
Australian.
and of course Maxwell
probably
Caulfield,
didn't.
known for having done Grease 2, I believe, at some point. So of course he's definitely the pretty boy. So they got him all tanned and
That's
shellacked
where I
up,
knew him
so
from.
that he would
Grease
look all
2.
fancy, right? To be the washed up star. And so Debbie Mazar was his manager. Jane, who quits partway through, ends up having a very cool, like, I think I ship Joe and Jane getting together and being a couple because they were very flirtatious, and I always appreciated that. Rory Cochrane played the part of Lucas. He's the one that kind of starts things in motion with all everything that we'll talk about during the plot. AJ.
That guy's got permanent swagger.
Right? He totally does. He does have a vibe about him. And then Johnny Whitworth as AJ, the very romantic lead, handsome fellow. Robin Tunney as Deb, who ended up going into a movie called The Craft, which was also pretty fantastic.
That
She's
was
been in a
cool.
bunch of stuff, right?
I love
Renee
that movie.
Zellweger has been in a whole ton of stuff. I'm sure you can name all that off, playing the part of Gina. Liv Tyler. This is one of her early film roles. She had been doing videos, music videos, with her dad and then her friend Alicia Silverstone. And this was kind of one of her big movie breakouts. Then later, of course, came things like Lord of the Rings and all the stuff that she's been amazing at. Ethan Embry was in a ton of teen films at this point, playing the part of Mark, spelled with a K, who's in the band, Mark, with a C. Coyote Shivers. They needed a musician to play the part of Burko. Now, we're going to tell the side story now, really quickly. So they end up hiring Coyote Shivers. A lot of the people that are acting in this are kind of either in their, like, Liv Tyler was 17, 18 when she filmed this. Renee Zellweger was very in her young years. Ethan Embry was still kind of a kid, too. Coyote Shivers was 29, about to turn 30. But he looked kind of young, and he also, the thing about record stores is it's not just a bunch of teenagers running the place. There are some people that are a little bit older that are doing it part-time. They have another job. They're a musician or whatever. So they end up hiring Coyote Shivers, who at that time was Liv Tyler's stepdad. Yeah, so Liv Tyler's mom had Liv when she was only like 24, and of course Liv Tyler.
Holy scandal,
I know. Liv Tyler, fathered by Steven Tyler from Aerosmith, of course, and so. Of course, BB is amazing, beautiful, fantastic lady. She ends up getting married to a man who's 12 years younger than her. So she's like 39 at the time. Her kid's like 18 or whatever age, 17, 18. And so he was probably close, I think. I don't know. I'd have to math it out. But like he was that much younger. And Crystal remembers the song that they do at the very end that Coyote Shivers was... he was responsible for writing. Sugar High, yes, so a classic, really great song to end the show with. So yeah, that was kind of a weird thing, and they didn't really talk about it very much, didn't really bring it up on set, but of course over time the truth comes out. They have long since been broken up, and BB is on to bigger and better things. And then of course we have Brendan Sexton playing the part of Warren. We never actually find out the kid's real name because that's his nickname, and we'll get to that in the plot as well. James Kimo Willis plays the part of Eddie, the guy who's a pizza guy who also works like 3 other jobs. Mm-hmm. Does that sound familiar for any of you that worked at a record store? There was always one guy who had like 3 other jobs. He'd show up 10 hours a week for your job and then like run around to all the different other jobs. And sometimes if it was a food job, they'd bring pizza or cookies or whatever. And there was never an empty table in the back room because there was always food around. And then of course, Ben Bode playing the part of Mitchell Beck, the owner of Empire Records, who complains during one of the scenes about how he wishes they were still selling toilets and fixtures and plumbing fixtures instead of selling records like his dad, because his grandfather sold appliances. His father changed it to a record store. He wants to put it back to appliances. So this should tell you exactly that Ben Bode plays Mitchell, who is kind of the wet blanket of the whole thing. So, all right. So are you ready for me to rattle out? He was the owner at that time. Yeah. So, all right. So I'm going to rattle out the plot. We're doing the Cliff's Notes. Are you ready? Hang on and go. And of course, Crystal knows how to quote it. My name's not Warren. Yes, he does say exactly that, and it's hilarious. All right, so we descend on our scene in Empire Records, which is in Delaware, believe it or not. It takes place over one day, which is 24 hours. Lucas,
I'm in Delaware.
Yes, right. I'm in Delaware, and so Lucas closes the store. It's his first night as night manager. He finds out that he sees some things in Joe's desk that they're going to be selling out to Music Town. Maybe it's selling out to a big corporation. He gets upset about it. He has plans. So with this corporation, he takes the $9,000 deposit that he's supposed to drop off at the bank and takes it to Atlantic City, hoping that he can bet it into enough money to buy the store from Mitchell And what does he do? He loses all the money. He shows up the next morning, falling asleep on his motorcycle in the back. AJ and Mark greet him at the next morning, and he tells them kind of, this money's gone. And AJ figures it out pretty quick and explains it to Mark that he had lost this money. And so Joe comes in, and immediately, as soon as they come in and open the place up, the phone is ringing off the hook. Mark answers it twice, and one of them is the owner saying, "Where's the money?" The other is the bank saying, "Where's the money?" So Joe freaks out, starts looking around. Eventually, he finds out what's happening. And so, as this is happening, Deb, one of the workers, walks in. She's got like a motor scooter she comes in on. She goes straight to the bathroom and shaves her head. So she's had a rough night. She has
like no context, no pre.
No, people don't know it, but
just walks in and shaves it.
But you do see that she has a bandage around her wrist. Right. So we think that there had been an attempt. Yeah, so we won't bring it up exactly the words, but you know what we mean. She's going through a very difficult time in her head, and so she sheds herself of all of that hair. So at the same
before clocking in.
Yeah, that's exactly what she does. And as soon as she comes out and goes to clock in, they're like, "Didn't you just used to have hair?" And she says, "Yeah, it's still in the sink if you want to glue it, AJ," because she sees AJ gluing the coins, because at that point, Lucas came back, told Joe what had happened. Joe's upset. He flings a bunch of coins across the entire back room. AJ, of course, is an artist, and he likes his avant-garde stuff, so he starts gluing the quarters onto the ground, and so that becomes kind of a running gag as we work our way through that. And so Joe, and so what Joe hadn't shared with everybody, particularly Lucas, was that he had a savings account that he was going to buy into the store so that Maxwell wouldn't sell the store off, but now Joe is in a pickle, and it's probably going to get sold off now to Music Town. So it's looking very dire. And so Crystal said, yes. And so the scooter that Deb drove was a Vespa, so one of those fancy, cool scooters, right? And so, but as all of this chaos is going down, hey, let's not forget, it is Rex Manning Day. And so at the beginning, there's a wonderful scene with Video Killed Radio Star where everything is getting set up. Everybody's excited. Everybody's happy. Corey and Gina, who are best friends. Corey, of course, the overachiever. She's hoping that she gets into Harvard, which she does. There is a moment when they find out that she makes it into Harvard. And then, of course, Gina, her best friend, kind of known for, how do we say, getting around quite a bit. She's really big flirt. Yeah, so they all really come in.
Big. She's only wearing an apron at one point.
Yes, there was a moment where that was exactly happening, and so she wears very
too stereotypical.
Absolutely, and so you could see there's friction and tension. There's places where we get along. There's places where we don't get along. Of course, Deb, who just shaved her head, is very antagonistic for Gina, and vice versa. Corey just wants everybody to like her, and whenever Deb doesn't, she's feels bad about it. It's a whole hot mess. And everybody tries to figure out, why is it that Corey can do so much in a day? She has so much going on, right? It's a lot. And so also at this time, AJ is trying to get the courage to tell Corey that he loves her. So there's like a lot of interweaving storylines, right? So there's quite a bit going on. Now, as all of this is happening, of course, Rex Manning comes in with his manager, Jane, and you can tell he's very coiffed and very full of himself, and they're giving, they're kind of very sidewaysly giving him crap about his hair and about his career and all of this, and he, of course, has a big, giant ego. And so within all of this, as all of the Rex Manning moments hilarious, all the women are lining up. There are some men that are lining up too, but they're kind of the kind of men that have crushes on him. So
or impersonate him.
Yes, and so he
there's some quaffs and
yes. Yeah. So the Rex Manning concept is that he's kind of had been a pop star, a teeny bopper. Like Gina's reading about him in Tiger Beat. Right? So we were talking about celebrity crushes. He was one of those, like what we were talking about. And so as he's there and the ladies are lined up, and like I said, they're kind of, my age now, middle-aged ladies are lined up, suddenly Lucas spots a shoplifter, and the shoplifter is taking a little magnet across the CDs, which actually could be done if you had a very specific kind of magnetic device that was just kind of slapped on the CDs, that when you walked out, it would cause the alarm to go off, and then you knew you had a shoplifter retrieve the items, and that was that. So he's trying to deactivate it so he can just slyly sneak out. Oh, no, that is not happening. So Lucas, who had been banished to the couch, gets off the couch because he's going to fix it and grab the shoplifter. So all of a sudden, he starts to run. Lucas runs after him, and our buddy Mark yells at the top of his lungs, "Shoplifter!" And the chaos begins, right? And of course, we've got some really great music running as it's all going down. And then...
it's very parkour at that moment.
Very good. And I will tell you this, Clive, you have a wonderful thing to say about some of the ladies that are getting up there in age. Mint condition vintage ladies. Thank you for that. I love it. It's adorable. It's sweet as can be. Thank you. So anyway, they catch Warren. They park him on the couch. Lucas is stuck there on the couch too. So he is kind of, they're able to have some really cool improv-y moments and that kind of thing. At some point in all of this, Mark gets some brownies from Eddie and eats maybe too much of the brownies, and Gwar speaks to him. So through a video screen, and basically he goes on a really wild right. And the cool thing about that is that the actor Ethan Embry saw that Gwar was in town in Wilmington, North Carolina, where they were filming, and he's like, "Can we include them in this?" And they said, "Yeah, sure, let's add them in." So that's how they ended up being part of Mark's story and encouraging him, because as you might find out if you ever work at a record store, somebody you work with is in a band or trying to start a band, or a bunch of them are in the band together. So all of that is very much a trope that is legitimately there. So one of the things that Corey is telling Gina, let's go back to the two girl best friends, she wants to seduce Rex. She wants to seduce Rex for her first time. She's been a very good girl till now, and wants to get with this guy that she, as a child, had a crush on. And he's like, "You would have been just a baby." And of course he says, well, she's like, "I'm not a baby now." And so as she's kind of throwing herself at him, she even says so herself.
But she was a baby.
He
was like
just,
17
yeah,
right?
17, 18, right around the time. And so he basically, so she gets him kind of in a private room for his lunch. He unzips his pants. It's very, it grosses her out, because he's just like, pulling one of those things. Like, he's just a cool guy, and yeah, I can get all the ladies. I can even get this younger one go right ahead. And then she gets the ick, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness for you getting the ick right and figuring it out.
Spidey sense.
So she gets upset, runs up to the roof where AJ, the artist, happens to be trying to fix the neon sign out front. And he's like, "Oh, it's perfect that you're here. I gave myself, this deadline at 1:37 that I was going to tell you that I love you." And she's like, "I can't handle this right now. I just threw myself at Rex Manning." And he's upset because he's like, "No." So that's, it becomes its own romantic hot mess. Well, in the midst of all that, she gets upset. Gina and Corey, the two best girlfriends, end up having a fight. Gina then takes it upon herself to get with Rex Manning. And so all of a sudden they are locked in a room that no one else can get into. Everybody else is outside the room, and they figure it out as they come walking out. Gina comes walking out and sees that all of her friends are there, and saw that. So she's a bit embarrassed. And then, of course, what does Rex Manning do? He's like, "What? No applause?" At which point, sorry, that was just Steven, a.k.a. Roddy, just checking in.
Steven probably wanted to say that line.
Maybe. I don't know. What? No applause. And so as soon as that happens, AJ, artist boy in love with Corey, loses his mind and punches him, and so they are in a fight. And as soon as everybody tries to pull him off, jerk Rex Manning gets a shot in as well. Everybody's like, Joe is like, throws in his man purse and is like, "Get out." "Well, where's Jane?" She quit, boy, so get out." And he was very upset and leaves, and that's the end of Rex. We don't have to deal with him anymore. And then at that point, Corey is upset about everything, and her perfect life goes completely shattered, and she loses her mind and goes on a rampage throughout the store, finds some sharp objects and stabs the cardboard cutout of Rex Manning, and is like gone feral. So everybody gathers around her, finally, grabs a hold of her. It's a very big, important moment. And Deb, who shaved her head. Yeah, oh yeah, Crystal says, "Why don't you all just fade away. And that's what Rex says as he leaves. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm like, don't take the Who's name in vain. I'll not have any of that. But he goes away, and
They
we're
should
done
have
with this
made
guy.
him trip after that.
You know, you would hope. So anyway, Deb, who with her shaved head, is like, I got this. I can help her. I will calm Corey down. I'm going to have her come with me. So they're in the bathroom. They have a nice, almost a Hallmark moment. She even says it. Let's save the Hallmark moment. Because she, douses her head with water and like helps her clean up and fix up. And she's like, I always thought you had it together and you were so perfect. It's actually a relief to see you lose it. I feel like I should welcome you to the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those moments where it's like, for as much as you think you're disconnected with somebody, once you connect and once you realize, no, I don't have it all together, then a friendship can happen. So in response to that, Corey kind of gets herself together and decides to hold a mock funeral for Deb. So it's like, I know that you wanted yourself gone. Well, we're going to lay you down and say what we would miss if you were gone. So it was a beautiful moment that Corey got that kindness from Deb unexpectedly and then gave that kindness back. And so, at first, Deb's not going to play, but then she ends up playing, and she talks about how in her frustration with where she's at in life, she's like, yeah, I'm barely scratched up here. I tried to take a big moisturizing strip razor, a little daisy razor, to try to do this, and this is as far as I got, but I'm still frustrated. And they're like, but we love you and we want to take care of you, and whatever mental health problems you are going through, we're a family and we're going to keep together on that. And that, when you work amongst people like that are so passionate about what they do and music, you're going to end up making friends somewhere along the line sooner or later. And so that friendship conglomerated everybody together. So back to the problem at hand. We're about to lose a store. It's about to be a music town. Of course, during one of those moments, Gina does just take everything but her underwear off and puts on one of the things that says, "Welcome to Music Town. May I service you?" And I'm like, girl, okay, I see what you did. So that does happen earlier in the movie. So they decide all together, all right, well, actually, Mark is the one who knew that Mark would come up with something so crazy, because you think of him as kind of a dim-witted guy, but he's like, no, we're going to have a concert. We are going to have a fundraiser. Damn the man, save the empire. Everybody bring your money. We're going to have discounts on CDs. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. We're going to sell cardboard cutouts. We're going to sell all kinds of stuff so that we can make enough money to stay in business and not get sold to Music Town and not be swallowed up by the man, which all of us... No. Yeah, there we go. So Crystal says a pink lady Bic with daisies and a moisturizing strip. See, she knows the quotations as well. So with all of that, they put on this great show. They make a ton of money. Deb sits right there at the front, and people are just throwing money in.
Which is the real fantasy, right?
Yeah, because they want. But the thing is that they banded together. They put it on national TV because, how could I forget? The reason why a television crew is out front is because Warren came back after being taken away by the cops and then let off because he's a juvenile with a gun. It was a cap gun in the end, but still, he's trying to shoot up the store. And of course, Deb has got some bravery, so she comes out right in front of the gun. She's like, "What do you want, Warren?" God says, "What's up?" And she says, "You need to put down the gun." So finally, they get it all taken care of. Once they have Warren subdued, it's like, are you really like this because you just wanted a job here? And the truth is, yeah. So Warren, with all of his frustration, with all of his juvenile delinquent tendencies, was a screw up like all the rest of them. And the fact is like when Gina is getting sent home, she's like, "Am I fired?" And he's like, "Have I fired anyone else today?" And when you think of all the different things that everybody else did, he hasn't fired any of them because, again, it's like a family to him, and he wants to keep this alive and keep it from becoming corporate. So eventually, all of it comes together. The owner comes down. And so finally, and the music is playing, and everybody's having a party and a great time. And, of course, somebody gets a keg, and they're selling, beer out of the keg as well and making money. And they have this sizable barrel of money that they hand off to Joe. Yeah, probably. And so in doing that, the owner shows up and says, "Hey, it'll come around." And the owner says, "Yeah, you know what? I'll sell the whole thing to you, cheap." And so Joe just hands him the barrel of money. He's like, "You got a deal." And so in the end, Joe owns the place. Corey finally answers back to AJ and says, I do love you. I hope you forgive me for being like a crazy loon all day today. I'm going to try to be better. He's like, yeah, you could go to Harvard and I'll go to art school near you in Harvard and it'll be great. And so in time, everything comes around. Deb feels the acceptance. Gina feels the acceptance. Everybody at the end of it all is a big family. And of course, Sugar High, Coyote Shivers with his band, they get Gina to sing. We didn't know Gina could sing. We just thought that she was running around being a flirt. But who knows that she's got all this talent. Now she can do something awesome. And Crystal says it. Damn the man. Save the empire. And so Lucas says that, Mark says that, lots of other people say that because that was the point. It was definitely kind of trying to get away from the over-corporatization, which if you know anything about record stores, so many of them have gotten swallowed up by big box businesses that they're just gone now. And so finding those other places, finding those other places was a very big deal. And we're going to get into that one here very shortly as well. So there's your, I tried to keep that as Cliff's Notes as possible, but that was the best I could do. So Crystal. Oh, yes. And so Corey, part of why Corey did so much was that she had herself a little speed addiction. She was taking diet pills, which are uppers, and so she would stay up all night making cupcakes and doing calculus homework and all kinds of things, which was very unhealthy. And so trying to be a little less perfect there, girl, and still get what you want to get done. But yeah, that was a big part of it too. So iconic lines, we're going to rattle off a few, and we've already seen a few get rattled off because Crystal knows them as well. We've already mentioned, damn the man, save the empire. And then one of the most important ones, Mark says it, we mustn't dwell. No, not today. We can't. Not on Rex Manning Day, because what we find out, there's a poster somewhere in the building that April 8th was the day that all this takes place. So that's why I'm talking about it on April 7th, because tomorrow, April 8th, if you live anywhere near us and you want to let me know that you want to be invited, we're going to watch Empire Records, and it's full. So Kat says, record stores should have gone the same route as B&, I'm guessing that's B&B, make it a place to hang out and absorb, B&N.
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble, thank you. Make it a place to hang out and absorb the art. Yes, and the ones that are succeeding at doing that exist. They really are out there. Amoeba Records, and there's a whole, Waterloo, there's a whole bunch of others.
It's great. It's all mom pops now. There's
exactly,
not really,
exactly, because it just
doesn't.
The way
it all should be.
As the way it should have been. Yeah, absolutely. So, not on Rex Manning Day. Empire Records, open till midnight. Midnight. And that's one of my favorite things, because when you say what you're open till and people answer the phone and you're like, yeah, how late are you open? Midnight.
Right.
So felt it, done it, have done it myself in the record store. And then of course Gina, upon seeing Deb says, well, Sinead Rebellion, shock me with that deviant behavior. And then they give each other crap back and forth. It's like, you get smarter the higher your skirt gets. Well, you get smarter the shorter your hair gets. Wow. And so, yeah, definitely a back and forth there. And of course, when people spot that Deb has that on her wrist, she says, I went to rock and roll heaven and I wasn't on the guest list. And so basically that she survived it. And then of course, Warren is trying to pull those quarters up. And so what does AJ say? I don't feel that I need to explain my art to you, Warren. And his name wasn't Warren. They asked who he was, and he says Warren Beatty. And they just kept calling him Warren. So then when he does start working there and starts answering phones and, ringing people up like almost immediately at the party, they make him a name tag, and it says Warren. It's too late. He's Warren now, forever. And so with that in mind, I am going to show you, I do still have my old FYE. And of course, we had a little note maker where I could write Julie, and of course I put a little music note, I put a little heart there. One of the ones that I had, actually I got it signed by Silvertide, who I'm actually, wonderfully enough, kind of pals with on Facebook. Not that we're super close or anything, but yeah, so, and then there's a little barcode here. When we got our listening stations together, whenever you scan this barcode, it takes you to Julia by the Beatles. So, of course, it's my name tag. So, yeah. And then, of course, pardon me, that'll go anywhere. And we sold mints because whenever you had to sell add-ons, right? Yeah. So, and this is just a little mint tin. I keep earplugs in it now. But, we sold all kinds of stuff. Sorry. I've got some mints around the house. Okay, so Kat says, there was a kid in my son's youngest son's kindergarten class, whose mom had a stick it in your ear sticker on the back window of her car. That is the local place in Springfield. Stick it in your ear. Yeah, that's what they named their record store.
Oh,
It's
that's
It's
cool.
a tiny little record store, sells a lot of used, some bootleg too, and they're amazing. And they sell some pipes.
I just got the joke. No,
yeah,
not really.
they sell some pipes. Yeah, so sticker on the back of the car, like the record store in downtown Springfield, Missouri. I'd forgotten all about that place. Such a cool vibe, and it is still there. And Crystal says, of course, yes, we were selling a loyalty program called the Backstage Pass. Yes, we were. So we did try our very hardest to sell that. That was in our process of being over corporatized. We were already a corporation when we were Camelot. Then, of course, when we became an FYU, it got even more corporate. So always a little jealous of those smaller stores that were
Our
able to get
stick
there.
it in your ear was called Wild Planet, and it went
Wild
under.
Planet.
It went up.
Oh, that's so sad.
It went
Yeah.
under pretty.
Oh yes, and Kat
Pretty
agrees.
early.
Kat agrees with me. Ugh, the Backstage Pass, the bane of my existence. Having to try to sell it, having to try to explain it. People getting upset a year later when it charges them $25, or a month later when it charges them $25, like we said it would. And yeah, it's a pain in the butt. So yeah, I'm glad those days are over. I'm glad I don't have to do all
What
that
did it
selling as
get
well.
you?
Like you would get maybe like a 5 or 10% savings whenever you would use the card. Sometimes you would get advance notice of pre-sales. I don't even remember. I'm just overselling them. Anyway, back to our quotes. We almost forgot. So of course I also mentioned Mark screaming shoplifter. And I was like, it was
crazy
it was
chase scene. Yeah.
it certainly was. And then, of course, as that's happening, we have Gina get on the mic to say, attention, Rex Manning fans. To our left, you will see a shoplifter being chased by night manager Lucas. This young man will be caught, deep fried in a vat of oil, and served to our first 100 customers. Just another tasty treat from the gang at Empire Records. So,
I mean, it seems like
yeah.
catching this shoplifter is the best thing ever.
Yes, it
It's
was
their
very
favorite-
satisfying.
It's
Yes,
their
I
favorite
still-
thing to do. Is what it seems like.
I don't deal with shoplifters anymore, and I still hate them. Absolutely hate them. Yes, and we did also have to sell magazine. We did magazine subscriptions as well, in that overwhelming amount of stuff. And whenever we would have people, like when Google and Yelp and all of those things came up, people griped about being overserviced. Where they're like, they asked me 4 different things that I needed to, if I wanted a Backstage Pass, if I wanted a magazine, if I wanted wipes at the front counter, if I wanted mints at the front counter. Yeah, it was exhausting. We had 4 different things, and we griped about it too, but of course it didn't get us very far because corporatization. Anyway, quotes. What's with you today? Yesterday you were normal, and today you're like the Chinese guy from Karate Kid.
Who is this?
That was AJ saying that to Lucas. Of course, Lucas has gone very zen in losing
Yes.
these $9,000. And his answer, one of my favorites that I still use, what's with today? And I agree. Some days it feel like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Kat says, remember the crazy guy with the backpack who refused to get one, even though we promised to use a fake name. He would get it for free because of all the animated he bought DVDs that he bought in cash. So once you bought, like if you came up and you were buying like $75 worth of stuff, the card paid for itself. It canceled at the end of the year. We would make sure that he didn't, get charged again. But he just wasn't interested in it. He insisted on not being part of the card system. And we were even going to put in like fake name and everything. Yeah, but he still said no. And Crystal mentioned the Skip Doctor. Yes, we had a big, huge contest on how many Skip Doctors you could sell. It was just a cleaning solution and a little buffer. Yeah,
There was a
for your CDs.
competition to sell
To
those?
sell how many? Yeah, it was a lot.
Oh,
It
those
lasted
things
forever.
sucked
It was
so
exhausting.
bad.
I mean, it did actually work.
Yeah, I hated having to do it though.
Yeah.
It's-
So yes, Hey Man is what Adam called the person that we are indeed talking about. Of course, we have a lot of regulars, and a lot of them ended up getting nicknames. Anime Hottie, anyone? And so then, of course, one of the things that Lucas says, in the immortal words of the Doors, the time to hesitate is through. And then, of course, one of the things when Gina and Deb kind of are getting along, isn't it customary to leave the scene after committing the crime when the shoplifter comes running back through? It's like, and she says, definitely an amateur. And so, of course, what we mentioned before, Gina's saying, welcome to Service Town. How may I service you? Now, one of the things that we do have to talk about that was financially successful was the soundtrack. The soundtrack had top hits before the movie had even come out. A Girl Like You, by Edwin Collins. Never met a girl like you before.
before.
Yes, a classic. And then, of course, Gin Blossoms that I started singing on the first attempt at the video. Never, till I hear it from you.
Hear it from you.
Yeah, that's the one. And so they were going to have the soundtrack on Atlantic Warner Brothers Records. Instead, they had it on A&M Records because the Gin Blossoms were on it. So 3 million CDs shipped. 2 million of them sold. So that was a success. It ended up, the soundtrack got to be a success. The guy who, from A&M was upset because he's like, well, the movie's getting buried, so now my soundtrack's going to get buried. Mm-hmm. It did not. The soundtrack was a great success. And then, of course, as people started buying it on DVD and VHS, it became a hit all over again. And so now they are iconic songs like Liar by the, Liar by the Cranberries, Free by the Martinis, Crazy Life by Toad the Wet Sprocket. Bands like Better Than Ezra, Ape Hangers, Cracker, The Mises, Drill, Luster, Please, Evan Dando was on there as well, from the Lemonheads, right?
I had this soundtrack.
And then of course,
exact.
Sugar High from Coyote Shivers. Now there were other songs that we heard throughout, like Hey Joe, Video Killed the Radio Star, A Whole Lot of Trouble by Cracker. The Ass Ponies did a song called Little Bastard, and that was what they did whenever they're introducing Warren and showing you that he's kind of a little jerk. Sorry about the bad word. More stuff from the...
Hey Mom, my band name's Ass Ponies.
And what's funny is the names of some of these bands that they discovered. Peg Boy, Fig Dish, Fits of Depression. Of course, War was on there. Mm-hmm. Mouth Music, Sponge. Yeah. Actually, it was kind of a first hit there, and they did another... you know exactly how Cloud goes. Yep, classic. The by This Is the Day, or This Is the Day by The, which was kind of one of those new wavy kind of bands.
Oh, no, I remember.
When they're dancing at the very end, that's that song.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Say No More, Mon Amour was on there as well. And Maxwell Caulfield could sing, no believe it or not. Yes, so, and then, of course, Poster Children, Suicidal Tendencies, and the Flying Lizards doing Money, That's What I Want. And so, lots of fantastic music, which you would have to do because that's what happened at the record store. You were surrounded by music, and you got freebies, and you got some of the most amazing stuff. You take home the cardboard cutouts. I have so many posters on my wall here at home. I have the giant Alanis Morissette, still to this very day. She's an absolute hero.
We got an advance on Live's second record.
See? Exactly.
And I was the only one that had bought their first one.
Yep.
So it comes in, and we got a promo, and I walked away with it.
See, and I'm telling you, man, getting those, and I got the Silvertide promo for free. I'd never heard of them. I went home and listened to the CD, lost my mind, went and saw them like a dozen times live, and got to see them, talk to them. It was pretty darn amazing. Yeah. So all the stuff that you're able to get for that is pretty darn cool. And then, of course, Crystal said we needed the veto at FYE for some of the music we played. Yes, we would get tired of the music. A lot of times, whoever the manager on duty was the one that needed to make sure we weren't putting cuss words up on everything. And sometimes we'd open up a CD, not realizing cuss words were in there, hear them, be halfway across the 10,000-foot store and have to sprint up and shut it off as we're running past the kid going, oh crap, they were not supposed to hear that F-bomb. Boom, hit that, and then change it. And there were some people that would destroy a CD. There was one of my not for long fellow assistant managers did that. Kat said, I wish I could go back and just wander around flipping through the CDs and DVDs. Amen, same here. Or even further back, look at the wall of cassettes and VHS tapes, the good old days. Freaking men, 100%. So yeah, I actually did have somebody. I was listening to one of the Depeche Mode newer CDs, and I would open one up and I'd find that it was destroyed or broken. So we had to, so we would
because
trash
somebody
it out.
was so tired of it.
And he was a jerk about it. He was a giant diva.
What Depeche Mode?
Although,
Violator? Or?
No, much later.
Oh,
it was the green cover with the white dollop looking thing. I don't remember the name of it, but whatever it was. I would play it, and I didn't think I was playing it that often. He could have walked up to me and said, could you quit? Could you not play it when I'm on them? And literally, other managers did that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry. I will only play that on Sundays when I'm the manager and people agree with me, which was fine. But no, he would break or damage them so that they had to be damaged out and sent back to the company. Although karma does work itself out. But one day, here's the thing. With the cardboard cutouts and the posters, we are free to give those away however we see fit. We are not allowed to sell them. He sold a Madonna one off the floor. One of our coworkers saw it, got him in trouble, and he got his ass fired, and I'm not mad about it to this very day. Yes,
I
and
can
Kat, I know, Kat, I'm so sorry. She said I can't even listen to Muse anymore. Sorry. I know I probably was responsible for some of that. My bad. And that almost killed Led Zeppelin for me when their remastered double greatest hits came out. Yes, we listened to a lot of that too. And the initials JB. No, they are not JB. They are M. I don't remember his last name, but I will tell you his first name. His first name is Michael. I don't know if he was. I don't know if he got like $50 for the poster, from what I heard. But I hope that $50 is worth it, because now you got $0 for the job. Yeah. So no, like I said, I don't remember his last name, but yeah, we had a few Michaels working there. Not my boss. My boss was fantastic, Michael Martin. And if Mike gets to see this. He was fun. He was great. Like that guy. He was great to have as a boss. So very helpful, very good. I'm glad that he saw that I had some talent for management. That felt pretty good to be able to manage the store. So all right. So anyway, comparing realities to the differences. My first record store, the first place I ever bought a record, I was very small. I was only 4. I used my allowance money. I bought Olivia Newton-John and Cher singles right next door to the laundromat in my hometown. I can't remember what the place is called. I hope I can figure it out. I'll probably do some research and let you guys know. Karen mentions mine was U2, Achtung Baby. Yep. So see, everybody has these memories of these specific bands, these specific albums.
That record is phenomenal.
Indeed, right?
Yeah.
We could do a whole
that
episode
one
on
Joshua Tree.
Yep. So
you got to rattle and hum.
Oh yeah. And so every time I went to the mall, I would go to Record Bar and Musicland, and I loved it. And I would, whatever I could do with all of my allowance money, I would try to buy as many things as I could. Once I got into college, of course, my college career took me a lot of different places, Northwest and Maryville. I was in Lincoln for a while, and there was a place called Twisters, and it was only like 5 stores in the Nebraska area. And then it turned into Homer's because the guy that owned Homer's kind of bought him out. Oh, yeah, here we go. Karen says, I want it at a dance promoted by KY102. See? And then the record stations all come together, or the radio stations all come together. It's an entire thing. KY102, one of the best KC radio stations, RIP. Sad it does not exist anymore. And so, of course, like I said, we also made lifelong friends. We have stories that we can still tell. We're going to do another episode about FYE as well and cover even more stories. But the thing is that one of my favorites in Springfield was Stick It in Your Ear. Of course, there were other places that don't exist anymore, like Coconuts, Peaches, Strawberries, Sam Goody. In the bigger cities you had Virgin, HMV, Tower. Virgin still to this day, really
I hated that store.
Okay, all right. I never went to one, so I didn't know. Amoeba Records still exists in the California area. Waterloo still exists in Austin. Grimey's is still in Nashville, Tennessee. There's a place called Restless in Chicago that High Fidelity was based on. We will do an episode about High Fidelity in the future. And Electric Fetus is in the Minnesota area, and that's where Prince went.
I have to mention this place in Ventura. I can't believe I forgot. I said Wild Planet, but we actually have this place called Salzer's Records, which is still a place where you can rent videotapes and things.
Classic.
On one side of the street is that building. On the other side of the street is all records and memorabilia. Nice. You would love it.
Oh, I do. And you need to understand the amount of time that Jillian and I spent in Amoeba when we finally got to go there on Sunset.
It's been there long enough to be a historical landmark.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. So yes, I do have a hope to go to as many of those as I possibly can. Crystal says, my first CDs were Roy Orbison and the Batman Forever soundtrack. See, and that's very telling, all the different tastes and how wide-ranging the tastes. Right? The things that you could buy in a row.
What was on that one?
Is that Kiss from a Rose? I think that's Kiss from a Rose. Or no, that might have been Batman and Robin. I don't know. There's a lot. Or it might have been Hold Me, Throw Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2. I don't know. There's a lot.
Probably that one.
We're running out of time. And I do have just a couple of little small things to get through as far as what happened of the coolness of working at the record store. And I wanted to for a very long time, and I have the honor of having worked at a record store for 8 years. I walked into, at the time, Camelot Music. It was on my 30th birthday. I'm like, I need to do something with my life. I've got 2 kids, got a husband. I need to do something. It's time. So I walked in, very aiming, to getting this job. I walked right up to a fellow by the name of John Queen. And because I walked up in such a kind yet forward manner, he's like, "You're the kind of person we need working here. Do you have an application?" Like, I have a resume. Well, here, fill this out. Filled it out there, and he walked me to the manager. Says, "We need to hire her." And he's like, he had been a manager kind of on and off, key holder, that kind of thing. And Crystal said, yes, on U2. It was U2. And so Inger said, can't remember the first record I bought. I know it was a 45. So I love hearing those kind of stories. It is amazing. And so I walked in and got the job.
Bombastic, by the way.
But I got the job because it was my 30th birthday. I was done with the crap. I was ready to march up and get what I wanted. And thanks to John Queen, who recently, unfortunately, died, may he rest in peace, I had that opportunity. So I've always been grateful to John. He was such an interesting guy, loved so many kinds of music, was one of those older fellows who was at the music store but also did art, and also was responsible for a lot of local art that you saw, and did work for the t-shirt companies, like all the different stuff that he did. Very artistic human, and I still think it's fantastic. I worked there from December of 99, so I made it through Y2K, to January of 2008 when we closed down because the corporation couldn't come to agreement with the other corporation that owned the mall. We were $1 million a year store, but we closed because of corporate. So still to this day, with apologies to all my other jobs, it's still my favorite job. I loved it. I enjoy where I'm working now. Everything's fine, but the record store, even with all the crazy, was still my favorite job because of everything that we've mentioned.
I'm tired of the corporate end
cycle. So the other truths: shoplifters are idiots. They'll use those magnets. Someone in the that you're working with is in a band. Mm-hmm. Art people are everywhere, so people that are randomly doing art things in the back. Yes, it did. Lots of people wanted to work there. You had people who are always available to come in for work. You had people who are never available to come in for work. You had backroom cleaning. It happened all the time. Kat says, FYE Battlefield Reunion live show. I see it in our future. We're going to figure out a way to make this happen. I know everybody's been scattered to the four winds. We're going to figure something out. I have no idea what or how. We might have all different kinds of Brady Bunch faces on the screen. We will come up with a way to do it. Our best in-store was Tech Nine. He stayed an extra half hour to make sure he signed for everybody. He was nothing like Rex Manning. He was an absolute blast. We have pictures of him with Kat, Crystal, Adam. I can't remember who else was in the picture. I think maybe Jordan was in the picture. No, Linda was in the picture. So yes, that was an absolute fun. We did cardboard stand pranks where we'd hide a cardboard stand like behind the bathroom door, and people would open the door and freak out thinking it was a real human. Yeah, we did that a lot. We did that a lot. And then the corporate takeover, it was an absolute pain in the butt. So, and picking overhead music, avoid cursing. Sometimes they get damaged. And then, of course, I already mentioned that we would sell tickets to shows, or we would get tickets to shows. We would sell all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, Crystal agrees with me. Linda was the other person that was in the picture with Tech Nine. So, and the biggest thing is that, and I know I'm 2 minutes over the top of the hour, but my memory castle, people always talk about how there's a memory castle, like whenever you're trying to scroll back to all of your memories, sometimes it's your old house, sometimes it's your old room. For me, it was the record store. The record store became my memory castle. So when I'm trying to remember things about different bands, different music, I'll be like, hey, it's that guy with the blue CD who's in the A's of the country section, Steve Azar. Yeah, Steve Azar. And so that's like where it all comes together for me. I can tell you exactly where in the store. I was not a juggalo, but I could tell you exactly in the store where ICP was. This is how that.
Who is Steve Azar?
Joe. Is it Joe Azar? I don't know. He was just a random one-hit wonder artist. All right, so Kat says I'll be in Missouri in August. Let's make it happen. Yep, we've got a number of us. We've got enough of us in Missouri. I bet we can make this happen. All right, Kat, we're going to start chatting about this. We're going to figure out when we're going to make it happen. So absolutely. So and Crystal.
Battlefield is at this
Battlefield Mall. Yeah, Battlefield Mall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the name of our mall. So Crystal said Julie was our walking, talking catalog. I was. I loved the inventory. I knew so much about where everything was that store is now my memory castle. So I house other memories, like of other things that never even happened in the store, but it's all there, and so because I can piece it together with music and all that kind of stuff.
This turned into a lot of like a work meeting thing.
It kind of did.
Reading started.
But the joy about records now is that we have a comeback. All those mom and pop stores, vinyl is making a huge comeback. Everybody loves it. So there's some seed of it that's still alive. There's something in there that we could still say, damn, the man saved the empire, and I am here for that.
As my son said too, he's like, the digital stuff, you don't own it.
Yeah.
But his generation's like,
to have something tangible that you could put your hands on is a bigger deal. And the thing is, these things come and go. By the way, guys, this isn't on Disney right now. I don't know where to find it. I think you have to go to YouTube and hopefully you'll find it there. You might have to rent it if you want
And
to
it
watch
might
it, if
be a
you don't
conspiracy.
physically own it. And so that's the thing. They come and go. You know how it's like leaving Netflix soon. That happens still.
It's going to come back rearranged letters like the Berenstein Bears.
So having
Maybe
it
like-
is a big deal. So
And-
yeah, exactly.
and
And
peer
you can
records.
get through the Mandela effect by proving what you
It'll
have.
be
All
Empire
right, we
Record.
are way out of time and way over time. I went 5 minutes over what I normally try to. Remember the old days when I thought I could do this in a half hour or 45 minutes? Yeah, those days are long gone. So I at least have to make the announcement of what next week is. And yes, Crystal says I could name that tune like a champ. I'm losing that memory over the years, but I still do my best. So next week, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about, and this is going to be for everybody, I promise, WrestleMania.
Oh, dude.
Now I know some of you out there are like, I'm not a wrestling fan. You don't have to be. You want to know? Because I'll give you a snack on this. Liberace was at WrestleMania 1. Did you know that? Did you know that? Yeah, he was.
He wrestled?
No, but he was featured on there. Mike Tyson has been on there. We all know who
Sure,
Mike Tyson is. We
sure,
love him, whether it's
sure.
from the boxing or Mike Tyson
the
Mysteries, the
fighting
cartoon.
years.
So yeah, and Inger agrees. I hate the digital. I need to own things so I can watch, listen what I want. Agree totally.
Well, I'm telling you, this
Yeah.
younger generation coming up is
Yep.
feeling the same
So-
way, and I love that.
So, but to hype up and to let you know, even if you don't like wrestling, you're still going to have fun because there were so many stars that were part of WrestleMania. Ozzy Osbourne, who doesn't love Ozzy, right? He was involved. He's actually, I believe, in the WWE Hall of Fame because they have a wing of famous people. And we all talk about that a little bit too. So we're not just going to talk about WrestleMania and how much of a spectacle that is. We're also going to talk about the stars, how it applies to pop culture. We're going to look at fashion. We're going to look at how those are influenced as well and have some fun with it. So whether you know wrestling or not, it doesn't matter. If you do know wrestling, there's going to be a lot of fun for you as well. But if you don't know wrestling, you're still going to have a blast. We're going to talk about fashion. We're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about so many things. Clive says it perfectly. Nacho Libre is a favorite. So we're going to bring up how wrestling has bled itself into, like, come on, guys. The Rock, John Cena, all of these are people that you know and love. So we're going to get into wrestling's effect on pop culture through the eyes of WrestleMania. So we're going to call it a WrestleMania episode because WrestleMania is coming up. As you know, I went down the rabbit hole of wrestling somewhere around 2016 and have never looked back. I loved it as a kid, got away from it, came back. So that's part of what we're going to talk about. We are way out of time. But thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you for commenting. I'm so glad that the comments have come up. I know that's probably 5 times that I said that. But thank you guys again. And we'll just figure everything is cool until we hear it from you. So I know, right? It's tough whenever we've got it in the video.
Bye.
So, but yes. So, damn the man, save the empire. Hugs for everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, thank you.
You got through all that info.
I know it was a lot.
Let me grab my can.
I was hoping it's going. All right, it is trying to end anyway.